Good morning and welcome to Lakewood Next Daily Devotions. My name is Cliff and we will continue our study through the book of Matthew, in particular Matthew chapter 24, which can be summarized in two words: be prepared. Jesus was warning his followers. He told them, I'll be here for a while and then I'm going to be leaving and I will return, and you need to be prepared. You need to help others to be prepared. This week we're focusing on 5 ways to be prepared for the second coming of Jesus. On Monday we talked about being wise so that we might be able to be prepared. Yesterday we talked about being humble so that we might be prepared. Today we're going to look at Matthew chapter 24, verses 10 through 13. It says, many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. I'd like for us to focus on Matthew chapter 24, verse 13 today. 13, where Jesus said, the one who endures to the end will be saved. Jesus was saying, be faithful to the end. How do we prepare for the second coming of Jesus? Be faithful. He said here in Matthew chapter 24 that many would turn away from him. Many would be deceived by the false prophets. Many would lose their love for him. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. The ones who are faithful to the end will be saved. The message of Jesus was, don't turn away, be faithful. Don't be deceived, be faithful. Don't lose your love for me, be faithful. The one who endures to the end will be saved. Jesus knew that his followers would suffer in many ways, but he said, be faithful, and I will be with you. In John 16:33, Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. In John 16, Jesus did not say you might have trouble. He said, in this world you will have trouble. That was true for the early followers of Jesus. That's true for followers of Jesus today. Will we be ridiculed at times for being a Christian? Yes, we will. Will we have to suffer sometimes for being a Christian? Yes, we will. Will Christians today have trouble just like everybody else? Yes, we will. May God help us to remember the words of Jesus in Matthew 24:13. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. May God help us to be faithful. Revelation chapter 2, verse 10 says, be faithful even to the point of death, and then you will receive the crown of life. The message of Matthew 24:13 is be faithful. The message of Revelation 2 is be faithful. May God help each one of us to be challenged to be faithful. May God help us to be faithful when we're ridiculed or when we're suffering or when we are in trouble. In Matthew 24:12, Jesus said, the love of many will grow cold. Jesus was telling his disciples, don't allow your love for me to grow cold. Be faithful and don't grow cold. In Revelation 2:4, Jesus said to the Christians at Ephesus, but I have this complaint against you. You don't love me or each other as you did at first. The Christians at Ephesus had lost their love for God, and that can happen to anybody. We must be careful not to lose our first love. We need to ask ourselves, do I love God as much today as I did whenever I first became a Christian, when I first became a follower of Jesus? Have I lost my love for God? Do I need to repent and ask God to forgive me for drifting away from him? May God renew our love for him. In Matthew 22, Jesus was asked this question, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the second greatest commandment is much like it, love your neighbor as yourself. In Matthew chapter 22, Jesus said the most important thing we can do in life, the number one commandment, is to love God. And the second greatest commandment is to love others. Loving God and loving others will help us to be faithful, will help us to be wise, will help us to be humble, will help us to be prepared for the second coming of Jesus. 4 different times, Jesus said, if you love me, you will obey my commands. Jesus understood the connection between loving God and obeying God. He understood that if we want to be able to be faithful and continue to love God, we must ask God to help our love not to grow cold. May God help us to love him more and more and to be faithful. Being faithful will help us to be prepared. May God help us to be wise, to be humble, and to be faithful, so we'll be prepared for the second coming of Jesus.